Way of Sports, man. It's Lamont here. We back with another breaking news video, man. And again, you know, we always got to bring the stories, and we just got to report it as is, regardless of who's involved, man. And today we got some information on the Danuel House bubble situation. Before we bring you that news, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to the video if you have not done so already. That's the only way you can stay up to date and engage with all of the content that we drop. You know, we're trying to drop videos 2 to 3 times a day. The only way you know what we got going on over here is if you hit that notification bell. But today, I mean, as you guys can see from the title of the video, theories suggest LeBron James is the player that snitched on Danuel House for sneaking a woman into his room, and that woman happened to be one of the COVID-19 testers. And you know, we live in a day and age where, you know, we got these social media detectives, they can piece things together. And a very, very strong case has been put together in indicting LeBron James as the snitch that got Danuel House kicked out of the NBA bubble. So, you know, we're gonna refresh you on the particular situation really quick with the Danuel House bubble breach saga. I mean, this is something that we've been talking about a lot, especially over the last 48 hours. It became more so a bigger story because after the Rockets Game 4 loss, we really saw how the Rockets struggled without his length and shooting. They really missed his ability to spread the floor, defend multiple positions. He was a very, very integral piece on that team coming off the bench. No one can deny that. So not having House available definitely tied the Rockets' hands with regards to their depth. And we saw the Rockets struggle for the remainder of the series as soon as House was under investigation by the NBA. Now, according to reports that were released by Wojnarowski and Shams, Danuel House definitely did sneak a COVID-19 testing worker into his room. And this all happened while both House and the lady were inside the bubble. Now, protocols. Now, there were specific protocols that explicitly mentioned that players could not invite testing personnel into their hotel room. So Danuel House definitely knew this was something that he wasn't supposed to do. I'm almost certain that all other players knew that this was not something that they were supposed to do. And you know, a lot of people are now wondering, how did this come to the attention of the NBA? You know, how did the NBA find out about this? And again, just as I just stated earlier, there's a theory that's being pieced together based on just some investigative research that LeBron James could be the snitch behind the Danuel House controversy. Now, you know, where are people getting this theory from? This theory is stemming from a series of tweets. It's a series of tweets from someone on Twitter by the name of Cuffs the Legend. Cuffs the Legend. That's his Twitter handle, Cuffs the Legend. And what he did was, and I'll put the tweet up right here, right after Game 3, when news of Danuel House not taking the court had been kind of slid under the carpet, because again, I had even picked Danuel House on my FanDuel lineup that night. And then all of a sudden, right before the game, I see that he's out. It destroyed my FanDuel lineup. So I'm thinking, did he get hurt in practice? Did he pull a hamstring? We all know those injuries that could just flare up just like that and put you out of game. So I'm under the impression that this was potentially an injury, a late injury that happened, maybe in warm-ups or something like that. But right after game 3, Cuffs the Legend dropped a tweet. And he dropped a tweet before any major news had broke. He said, Woj and Shams will tell y'all what Danuel House did. Just relax and wait for them to tweet it with some laughing faces. And so what we can deduce here is that Cuff clearly implied that he maybe just knew something that a lot of people didn't know about this particular situation. That's where you see the laughing faces come from. Again, look at the tweet that he just sent. Woj and Shams will tell y'all what Danuel House did. Just relax and wait for them to tweet it. He knew information was gonna break about exactly what Danuel House did. And this is before he dropped this tweet before the allegations of him sneaking someone into his hotel room had even dropped. You know, no one had any idea what was going on. So again, that's indicator number one. That's clue number one, that he had some type of insider information, which is very strange. And then he went on to explicitly state some other things in another tweet. And again, this news right here dropped. He dropped this tweet before any news about what Danuel House may have done with regards to sneaking someone into his room. He dropped this tweet before any of this had been reported. His second tweet that he dropped after game 3, he said the NBA clearly said wives and girlfriends only. No random internet keister in the bubble, with more laughing emojis. Again, we're in another situation where he knew information related to Danuel House's case. He had insider information on exactly what was going on with Danuel House before the news even dropped. Remember, after game 3, when Danuel House wasn't available, nobody knew why he was out. Again, even leading up to the game, right before tip-off, I didn't even know what was going on. I had to man in my FanDuel lineup. That tells you right there. Even fantasy sports directors didn't even know. You know, if there was any inkling that Danuel House was going to be out, DraftKings would have known and marked them out on DraftKings. FanDuel would have known. They would have listed them out earlier on FanDuel. He left a lot of people high and dry. So this was all very new. Nobody knew what was going on. You know, we know how secretive the NBA can be sometimes, especially when they're conducting these investigations. But this guy right here, Cuffs the Legend, right after game 3, is giving very vivid inside details with regards to what was going on with Danuel House. And now, you know, when this happened, you know, and again, there have been a lot of rumors circulating. A lot of people had speculations, but no one had any type of speculation this accurate with regards to what was going on. And so now what we have to do is we have to figure out, where does LeBron James play into this? Where does his role come into this? You know, that's the main question that a lot of people are going to be asking. You know, in the title of your video, you said LeBron James may have been the one that snitched on Danuel House. And so what I took my time to do, because again, I just don't take these stories for face value. I go ahead and do additional research on this. And the next tweet that I found was this tweet right here. And what I'm going to also do is, because I know this might be a little hard to see, I'm going to zoom in on it so you guys can see exactly what it said. All right, exactly what was said. Now, this is a tweet right here from LeBron James. And what this tweet right here shows is that LeBron James has had a long-standing relationship with Cuff. And the duo have multiple times exchanged tweets with each other in the past. And this is just one of the more recent tweets that they exchanged with each other in the past. And this is a tweet where Cuffs stated that before the season started, I told King James I think he could average 10 plus assists. And hey, what do you know? NBA assist leader in year 17. So obviously he's a really big fan of LeBron, and he sent it to LeBron. You guys got to know, you know how many people send tweets to LeBron James? You guys know how many people send tweets to LeBron James? So for LeBron James to retweet or respond to anything that you say, you have to be in his inner circle. You have to be in his inner circle. This just doesn't happen by accidents or chance. And so LeBron James responded. He retweeted. He said, "Not one lie told. You said it, and I respond, and I response was just that." And I guess he probably meant to say my response was just that. But again, this tweet is still up on Twitter. This is something that you can go check out for yourself. And it even shows a screen capture of a message that was sent from Cuffs to LeBron James. He says double-digit assist. LeBron James says got you. So I mean, so this is where the connection between Cuffs, the legend, this is where the connection is starting to build. So how is he getting his information while he's, obviously this guy's outside of the bubble. How is he getting his information before news even drops? And again, there are a lot of players. There are players, a lot of players, coaches, personnel. A lot of people didn't know what was going on. Even guys that are insiders like Wojnarowski did not know what's going on. They didn't find out what was going on till later. And that's where the LeBron James angle comes in. So with this guy named Cuff having access to information from inside to the bubble and his relationship with LeBron James being brought forth, now we can just connect the dots and conclude that LeBron James had to have informed Cuff about the house situation. And that was just a fairly easy connection that you can make. How does a guy outside of the bubble have very, very accurate details on a close-knit situation with regards to what's going on with the player inside of the NBA bubble? Again, no NBA officials came out and spoke on it. No staff, no coaches, no other players spoke on it. But it just happened to be, that someone directly linked to LeBron James' inner circle tweets about this particular situation a day before anyone even knows what's going on, which is crazy right there. It's crazy. So, but still, even at this point in time, there are no concrete tweets. There are no concrete tweets about House's absence that have been put up by LeBron James or anybody else. Right now, we're just connecting the dots. And again, this guy is just kind of giving away the connection with regards to information that he knew and how he possibly obtained that information, which is crazy right here, man. It's crazy, man. I'm looking over some of these details in the story. But basically, all of the details are inferring that LeBron James was a part of the investigation of Danuel House. And was there a protocol breach? Because we know that there's a snitch hotline. We know that there's a snitch hotline inside the NBA bubble. The only way that Danuel House could have got exposed for what he was doing is if another player told on him, or if another player used the snitch hotline to give him up with regards to what he was doing. And every player now, including LeBron James, can always fall back on the premise that it's for the safety of all the players. Because again, this is something that's explicitly stated in the rules. Only wives and family allowed into your rooms. No staff, no COVID testers, anything like that. So, just like I said before, it's extremely unlikely that the NBA will reveal who ratted Danuel House out. But the link between Cuff and LeBron James, it does make you think twice, man. It does make you think twice. Again, you just can't overlook the fact You can't overlook the fact that the Lakers significantly benefited from House's absence in the series. And we know LeBron James is one of the master manipulators. He's a master at controlling the narrative. A lot of people make claims that, he uses guys like Kendrick Perkins and Nick Wright and Jason Williams. A lot of people have been insinuating that he uses people in the media to put out certain messages, to put out, certain information about him, to propagate some type of LeBron James agenda in the media. A lot of people have been insinuating that for years. So it doesn't surprise me that, if those allegations are true, it would not surprise me that he uses a low-level guy on Twitter to leak this particular information out, and probably assumed that it would never get connected back to him. Maybe he just didn't know that this guy would expose this information so quickly on Twitter or on the internet. But again, people do a good job of connecting the dots. Usually when stories like this break, it's going to break directly from someone within the bubble. The fact that this story broke from someone outside of the NBA bubble, and that person just happens to have direct ties and links to LeBron James's inner circle, I don't think that's a coincidence, y'all. I want y'all to let me know what you think. Do you think that's a coincidence? Because at the end of the day, the only way LeBron James would have known what was going on with Danuel House, the only way he would have known what was going on with this investigation, because the NBA did not leak a word about this investigation. They just said that House was going to be out due to a violation of protocol. Not even the Houston Rockets coaching staff knew what was going on at that particular time. Again, they didn't find out until after Game 3. So if the Houston Rockets didn't know, if the Los Angeles Lakers didn't know, how did somebody directly linked to LeBron James know exactly what was going on with Danuel House, and he was able to put that information out there on the internet right after Game 3, before any news or any additional news or information about the situation had developed? And again, if you can beat Wojnarowski to the punch and you're highly accurate, then you definitely have an insider in the NBA. But again, I want you guys to let me know what you think. Do you think there's any legitimacy to this? Do you think there's a real connection? Do you think LeBron James is the one that ratted Danuel House out? I think it's a very real possibility. Now, again, it could have been a lot of people. This guy Cuff, if he's, if he has direct connections with LeBron James, it's plausible to believe that he also has connections with other players as well. But as we all know, LeBron James does have a very tight-knit inner circle. And for this guy to come out with this information is not looking good for LeBron James. I think this is something we would have to really hold up on his legacy. Because again, the Houston Rockets after Game 1 looked like they could really give the Lakers some problems. But I guess anytime you can get an advantage on another team, you gotta take it. We see players all the time. We saw LeBron James in the NBA Finals bait Draymond Green into a bogus technical, and then he doubled down on it by exacerbating the situation to the NBA, and it caused Draymond Green to get suspended the next game. So we know this is a tactic that LeBron James could potentially use with regards to causing the suspension to take a player off an opposing team. We've seen him do it. We've seen him use the NBA to take players out so that he can get the win, essentially. But it's FYF Sports, man. Another great breaking news video. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Please let me know what you think about this video. I know it's going to be highly controversial, but again, I compel you. If you don't believe the information I have, go do some research on your own. Come back, let me know what you find out. But again, this is something that LeBron James has a track record of doing. We've seen him do it with Draymond Green. We've seen him do some shady things behind the scenes with his teammates in Cleveland. With Dwayne Wade and Derrick Rose and those guys, when they all got traded, we've seen this is a track record. And this is something, I know it's not basketball related, but it's definitely a breaking news story. But FYF Sports, make sure you guys, again, like, comment, subscribe. we'll be back with more news later. FYF Sports, man, we out.